All right, we are recording. So my name is Jason Lovell with Union Home Mortgage, and I am going to be discussing a very good topic today on underwriting hangups, different things that we've experienced that can cause some delays in a transaction. And we're going to go over some of those instances. I have a very special guest today, and then after that, I'm going to go over how we can get over those and how we can rectify them and try to make sure that they don't happen. So my special guest today, as you can see, is Becky Bosch. She was my loan partner for a long time until she decided to change teams, but that's okay. She is one of the best ones that I can think of that would know in detail some of the most common issues that come up on files and just some of the things that we can see so we can kind of go over how to avoid those. So Becky, do me a favor. Can you go over some of the most common things that you've seen that clients miss or during a process that would hold up underwriting?
The biggest thing that I see is not getting documents in on time when we ask for them, especially if the documents are not a validated or a correct document. A lot of times I see them sending in bank statements, they're missing pages, they'll send in a photo, they don't know how to get bank statements. So I think that right there is one of the biggest hangups on a lot of our borrowers is knowing how to get a bank statement and what a bank statement looks like. And then pay stubs, there's so much stuff that's done electronically nowadays that a lot of our borrowers are not, they're not always super tech savvy, so they don't know where to go to get their documents. So they'll send us screenshots or they'll send us partial documents, and that can sometimes be a holdup because we need an official validated document in order to be a legal document for our underwriting team. The other biggest thing is just not getting us the documents quickly. It's when we ask them to jump, we need them to say how high and have everything ready. So that's where, if realtors can really, guide their borrowers up front, say, hey, if you don't have a pre-approval yet, this is what you need. At least one pay stub, your W-2 from the last year, and a bank statement. That's going to get a fast pre-approval so that they can get in a house quickly.
So when your team requests documents from a customer, what's the time frame that you usually give them?
And we usually give them within 24 hours. Okay. We say, we send out our doc request and we say, can we get this back from you by, within 24 hours, or at least even by end of business day. Especially a lot of times we'll get borrowers who already have an offer put in on a house and they haven't gotten a pre-approval yet. So then that's a little bit more urgent where we say, okay, within the next couple of hours, I need these documents from you so that we can keep moving.
So actually you segue right into my next question is, based on the amount of deals that you do, which ones are, I say, go more smooth? Ones that are not pre-approved prior to writing the offer, or ones that are?
Obviously, the ones who are totally pre-approved.
Okay. What do you, in a pre-approval, what does that consist of?
Pre-approval will consist of us looking at their income. Are they really making $16 an hour, and are they really working 40 hours a week? A lot of times we get people who think they're working 40 hours a week, but their pay stubs will vary. We have to use that varying income. We can't use their 40 hours a week. We have to be able to really look at that. And even right now with COVID going on, we've had a lot of people who had time off the beginning of the year, COVID, so their income isn't matching up. So then we have to go do a deep dive and go to their employer and get a full verification of employment so that what we're looking at is true, because we actually have one right now where this borrower went to the bank, they didn't do a pre-approval, and now they're coming to us because their pre-approval was no good.
Mm. So when you say the pre-approval was no good, is there a difference?
It was a pre-qual. They just used the verbal from the borrower. They didn't look at their income asset docs. So once they got their income and asset docs in, the bank couldn't do it.
So if you take 24 hours to get docs back, so let's just say So if I see somebody post on a Facebook that says, I pre-approved a borrower in 15 minutes, woohoo, we're great. Is that, do you think that's accurate?
It could be accurate if the borrower got their documents in right away. If they came to the lender and said, hey, Mr. Lender, I want to be pre-approved. Here's my pay stub, here's my W-2, here's my bank statement. And they get their application turned in. And we're very quick with our team. If somebody is quick, we're going to be quick with them and get their stuff looked at right away.
So your team, last time I looked, you guys close over 150 loans a year by average.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those clients have come to you with a folder full of stuff and went, here, I have everything, get me done in 15 minutes?
I would say maybe 10%.
Okay. So it's not common, but it is possible.
Right.
Anything about, what about tax returns? Self-employed borrowers,
The self-employed borrowers are definitely going to be a little bit more involved, especially right now, as I mentioned before, with COVID. There's so many more guidelines that we have to take into account. Our investors are requiring more from us, so that means we have to require more from our self-employed borrowers. So we have to take a deep dive and look at their income and make sure, especially if they were a non-essential declared, non-essential at the beginning of the year, we really have to look at all of their self-employed documentation and make sure that their income is stable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, obviously I really don't want to go into every single underwriting, because most of the, this is more realtor driven, and they're probably all going, well, what the heck does this have to do with me? Don't worry, guys, we're going to get to this. Okay. I just wanted to go over, what about appraisals? Any issues with appraisals?
Oh, appraisals are taking a lot longer than they used to.
Okay. Awesome. Anything, when they do take a little longer, anything that comes back that may have missed that you look at and go, man, I wish I would have known about this before the appraisal was ordered?
Not so much. Our realtors are really good about letting us know, we also will look up the property online before we even order the appraisal, so that we make sure, is it a duplex? Is it a 4-unit? Is it a condo? Because the appraiser needs to know all of that information as well when they go do the report.
Okay. All right. Any other big hangups? Anything that you can see that is missed? And it might just be, because I know that every team is different, right? And it might just be that your team is set up very well and has a very good system in place, which makes you guys better than a lot of the competition out there, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you do different? What do you at Union Home Mortgage do different than everybody else?
I think the biggest thing is we set proper expectations up front. When we get a purchase agreement in, Jason Jenkins, he makes sure that he's looking at that closing date and he's letting everybody know, hey, you gave us 20 days on a purchase agreement. It's not possible. We've got to get an appraisal in there. We've got to get all the docs. We've got to get through underwriting. So it's setting that proper expectation up front.
Okay. And also collecting the proper stuff so that there's not any issues in underwriting, because
right.
we have something called a one touch, which is, means we did such a great job that when the underwriter looks at it, they sign off on it right away. It means we've gotten everything we've had. Now, I do believe, last I checked, your team is one of the tops in our state as far as percentages, right? Mm. So that means your deals are going through pretty smooth because you do such a great job up front.
Right.
And if we want deals to go smoother, having everybody on the same team is because like you said, I think you said you had your realtors are helping out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now they're not doing your job though, right?
No.
What is it that they're doing? What are your realtor partners doing?
They're setting the proper expectation with their buyers. I mean, okay. They're telling their buyers, you listen to that team. If they tell you to get you something, you better be on it and get it right away. So there's very few people that we work with that will drag their feet, so to say.
Awesome.
They're ready. They're responsive. And that's the biggest thing, was we need the buyers to be responsive.
Right. To understand that this is a real, I mean, this is not like, okay, you know, you're buying shoes, okay, you're buying a house.
Right.
There's a lot that's involved. Awesome. Well,
Yep.
Becky, hey, you know what? I mean, you helped uncover quite a bit of stuff that, you know, even for, I know that Jenkins and I, you know, we're out and about trying to bring people in the door, and sometimes don't really notice all the work that goes into the back end. And in my opinion, you're one of the best. You know, you definitely, when we were teammates, you were the backbone of my team, and I know Jenkins, he's told me you're the backbone of his team too. So, and it's funny because everybody's gonna hear this, because I'm gonna send this video out to everybody, right? So, awesome. Well, I know you had a prior obligation, so if you needed to go, you can. I'm just gonna finish up the video here, and since there's not many people on, I think I'm gonna, you know, we might go to lunch early. So, all right.
Thanks.
Yeah, no
Bye.
problem. All right, so if you just come on, I had Becky Bosch on. Becky is a loan officer assistant for Jason Jenkins and his team. She was on my team before, but we were different avenues. So she's been helping over there. She's one of the best. She's absolutely one of the best. And as you can hear, I mean, she came up with some very good things and very common things that we do miss in underwriting. Now, as a realtor, I mean, you are going to ask the question, well, you're the lender. It's your job to get all this stuff. You are correct. Absolutely, 100%. It is our job to get these items, and we do. The one key thing that she said was that the realtor partners on their team help set the expectation to the consumer, to the customer, that when these things are asked for, get them. Unfortunately, you know, we see a lot, you know, some do, some don't, right? And in some instances, you know, you get a question from the buyer, and then you get a question from the realtor going, okay, why do we need that? Or they don't understand why something is taking so long. And what I try to do is I try to keep everybody informed throughout the whole transaction of, okay, well, we still need this, we still need this. I don't expect the realtor to jump in and go help them find it. I just want them to know that we're trying to get this. If you want to shoot them a text real quick, say, hey, get that stuff to them real quick. I mean, it's going to help us, you know, get the deals closed faster. Now, some of the things with the appraisals, now she may not have, I guess, may not have as hard ones as I have, but some of the things that I've seen with appraisals is revisions, items, things coming up. You know, we did a manufactured home one a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that are missed are the HUD tags, or, you know, the appraiser doesn't take a picture of it because they're not there. Don't know that they're missing. Well, that's a common thing that we need to know. The data certificate is missing, or the HUD plate is missing, or you know, another thing is too is, you know, you get a government appraisal back, and there's peeling paint, and there's a handrail missing, and things like that. These are very common repairs that are known. And if they're not, I mean, if you don't know what the common repairs on a government, let me know. I've got a list that I had an appraiser put together for me that are some. I will gladly send it out to you and help you with that. But, you know, peeling paint, things that we look at and go, okay, well, we knew it's an FHA, we know it's a VA, we know it's an RD, and the house is riddled with peeling paint, or, you know, there's all these rotten wood and all this other stuff. Well, a lot of times, I mean, I don't see the property before you do, or the client does, or the realtor does. You guys are my eyes, right? I can see the pictures online, but I can't see everything from that. Okay, so, you know, if you notice that, let me know up front. Let your loan officer know up front, so that they can properly, you know, count for that and expect that. Because if we can get those things taken care of before the appraisal is done, well, then we don't have to send the appraiser back out, because that's just more time, more money, you know, and it's just something that's not needed. Now, sometimes you can't get past it. Okay, it is what it is. You can't get over it. You know, some things that surprise you. Okay, like I had one last week where there was a little hole in the siding or whatever, and there was a bee's nest in there. Never had that in 18 years. So we had to get rid of the bee's nest. Didn't really know it was a safety hazard, but it was. So, but really cool thing, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have an appraiser on, one of our top appraisers, Blaine Fayen. He's going to come on and actually go over some of these appraisal issues that he sees, and, you know, go over some of the timings and the delays and stuff like that too. So, but another thing too, clients being very slow. Clients have a busy life. We have a busy life, but it's kind of funny when you tell them, I need this by X time tomorrow. Oh, can you get it to me by tonight? Well, no, I can't. Okay, can you get it to me by 5 o'clock tomorrow? Yeah, it's amazing how they will make time to do it if a home is on the line or if their financing is on the line. They'll do it. So we just need to make sure that we all set that we're on the same team. Okay. Becky talked about bank statements missing. It's funny because a lot of bank statements will have some pages on it that'll say, left blank intentionally. Well, believe it or not, if it says on there, page 1 of 7, it has to have all pages. That's not our rule. This is per Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA. Okay. Now, if you guys have just come on, you notice that you're muted. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't a lot of background noise and stuff. If you got some questions, you can throw it in the chat. When I get done, in a minute, I'm going to unmute it and you guys can ask some questions or whatever, but I'll definitely try to get to those. But I wanted to get this information out. But Becky made some very good points too about a lot of clients don't understand that we have a lot of younger people. Some people don't even know what a bank statement is. They don't even know what it looks like. So it's obviously education. And it's some things that we go over with them. We try to make it easy as possible. I mean, there's ways that we can get their income online through the work number. There's ways that we can get in a Quicken software, QuickBooks software type system where you put in a username and it comes back with your bank info. We have something like that too called Account Check. So we try to make it as easy as possible. I want it to be fast as possible. Okay. And that is how I have personally done a full pre-approval from start to finish, because I got their banking information and their employment information and ran it all through online and truly had them done in 15 minutes. So the key here is that the realtors and the loan officers have got to be on the same team. The thing is, we have the same goal. We have a client that is buying a home. We have a seller who is selling a home. Whether you're the buyer's agent or the listing agent, it doesn't matter. We all have the same goal. There doesn't need to be this disconnect. It just needs to be a team effort. Now, obviously, the listing agent is not going to be involved this much, okay? But as the buyer's agent, I mean, it's our job, your and my job, or your loan officer and you, right? Obviously, I'm hoping you're doing business with me, but it's our job to help that client get from start to finish and in a timely manner, make sure that there's no headaches. And by getting a lot of this stuff up front to avoid these underwriting hangups, it's going to cause less stress for them because they don't deal with it every day. We do, right? So they don't know that it's normal. They don't know that it's this, but also too, if there's something you don't understand about the process, or if the customer calls you up and says, well, they're asking me for this, and don't get upset. Don't go, well, I don't know why he's asking me for that. Things like, you know what, just reach out to the loan officer. Have them explain it to you, so then you can go back and we can be a unified team. It causes issues when you do, and I have had this, okay? I have had, a buyer's agent who would go back, the buyer would call them and complain about something that was asked for, or something that was missed. It was most likely something we asked them for that they didn't get us, okay? And the realtor's calling me, asking me, do we really need this? And trying to give them lending advice and all this other stuff. And that doesn't help, right? I mean, you're the realtor, I'm the lender. That's our job. I'm not going to answer real estate questions. I don't need anybody else asking lending questions. Now, we can work together, no problem. I'll help educate you, not an issue. But I still want you to be the realtor and me to be the loan officer. We both stay in our own lanes, but together we work as a team and get the deal done. Some clients are slow. Some clients don't respond back. We just need to make sure we put their butt. But the key thing that I wanted to end on is the pre-approval. Pre-approval means a lot of things to different people, and even that are loan officers, right? You have a lot of loan officers that think that just because, and Joe, I'm not picking on you because your name is Joe, but just because Joe says, hey, I make $150,000 a year and I have $30,000 in the bank, just because they say that doesn't mean anything. Maybe Joe's self-employed. Maybe he really does make $150,000 a year, but he writes off $100,000, right? So he really only makes 50. So now he may or may not qualify, or he may not really have 30,000 in the bank, or it might be in the bank that he's a trustee on and a bunch of other stuff. So, they don't really understand, the initial conversations with people. They want, they don't know the system. They want you to think that they're worthy of it, that they're better, that they do qualify. They don't understand that everything has to be checked. So a lot of things that are said on the phone are not actually what's there. The pre-qualification is just a liar's approval, in my opinion. Now, they may not be lying, okay? But in what I call it is a liar's approval, because there's so many different things that can go wrong. Like, let's say you're a listing agent, you take the offer and it's approved, and they got the pre-approval from somebody, and they were self-employed. Now the underwriter asks for the tax returns. They send the tax returns. Now they don't qualify. Now there's all this time, all this money, and everything that's wasted because somebody didn't do their job up front. As a loan officer, it's our job to do that up front to make sure that customer has a golden ticket, a pre-approval letter that states that, so that the sellers know, the listing agent knows that they are good to go. Barring anything crazy that does happen in this business, right? That deal should close, okay? And it all a lot of it all starts from the very beginning. And it's important that you team yourself up with the right lending loan officer, right lending company who has your best interest in mind as well, not just that paycheck. If you know me, the paycheck will come as long as you do your job and you help enough people, right? So it's not about the money, it's about helping as many families as we can get. So that's obviously, there weren't a lot of people on the thing today, which is good because it means we can end it maybe a little bit early, but I definitely wanted to, let's see, Amy, you wanted that list, not a problem. We can do that. That's not an issue at all. And then I'm going to open up, or I'm going to try to open up the thing here that you can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. So I have that selected now. If you have a question, please go ahead and unmute or tap it or ask it in the chat box.
I was just curious if there's anything that we can do to not have things go into underwriting, as quickly or as much as they do. Like, are there things that we can do to speed up the process other than getting things to you guys on time and fast? Like, in order to make things not go into underwriting all the time or something, is there anything that we can do?
Well, every file has to go into underwriting. Now, the nice thing is that a lot of the systems are online. Okay, I mean, you have Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, FHA, all their underwriting systems are online and will tell you whether it's an approved eligible, whether it's a refer eligible. If it's an approved eligible, it means based on what you've sent, and as long as you meet the criteria, it should go through. That automating system will accept it, even if it's over the debt ratio guidelines or things like that. If it's a refer, then it means that those things have to be manually underwritten and are under stricter guidelines. So, but every file has to go through an underwriter for a company's compliance, requirement. That answer the question?
Yes, cool, thank you.
Okay.
Unless Joe has something to say, I had another thing that I wanted to ask. I was going over some continuing education legal stuff this morning, and they were talking about like people selling marijuana out of their homes and stuff like that, or in greenhouses and stuff. Have you guys had a lot of issues with that, or has there been like confusion with a lot of things with that on your side or anything?
The way that it's set up, I've actually had 2 deals that I have had that were very similar. The rule right now is the fact that, yes, it's legal in Michigan, but as a federal guideline, it's still it's still illegal on a federal level. So if you have a home that had, that's their business, okay? Now I've only had it really with the income source, okay? Mine was, 2 people were growers. One was a grower in their house, one was a grower somewhere else, dispensary, but it was their primary income and they were the owner. So that income is not eligible because it is not a legal source of income. Now, if someone is employed by a dispensary, okay, they're an employee, it's not their own, they're an employee and they receive that income, it's different because it's not their business, okay? But when they are, like, you know, if they're 25% or more owner of it, and that's where they receive their income from, it's not eligible. If it's in their home, okay, and they're running it out of their home, and again, it's their income source, it can't be used. I haven't come up across anyone that just had it there, but I don't really know why they would have it if they're not using it for income.
Right. It looks like for income, it would be, you know, and stuff.
That would be an issue. I have not had it come up yet where maybe they were growing it for personal use or whatever the case is, and I don't know the legalities of that, but I'm assuming that from what I've gotten so far about the income side of it, if there's anything to do with it on a federal standpoint, which is all the mortgage agencies, right, are federal, then they would run away from it because it is still illegal. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We also went over this morning. Somebody said that, or it was brought to my attention that if you're a buyer's agent or anything like that, and you are supposed to make an addendum or something, and they say, well, just don't send it into the lender, and then just so that it doesn't go into underwriting, yada, 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 that's mortgage fraud. Is it like if it just has to deal with like monetary stuff, or is it like, oh, I want to reserve this furniture and I'm going to write it up in an addendum?
How do I answer that, since I'm still recording it because I'm always blunt and honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, when we get an addendum, usually they're numbered, okay? And
right.
if they're in sequential order, and I'm told that that's all there is, I mean, I don't know any better, right? I mean, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It's not unless there's a yes, if there's an addendum and it's a part of the deal, are we supposed to have it? I'm going to say yes, because I don't want to tell you anything else. But you guys are all running your own business, right? I mean, but if you do an addendum that's number 1, and then you keep number 2, and then you give me 3 and 4, I'm going to ask about number 2.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it has to, I mean, the underwriters review, I mean, obviously we review those as well.
I mean, I would think that it is. I would err on the side of caution and say that's probably mortgage fraud or skimming the line towards mortgage fraud.
I'm not a legal attorney, so I can't give you advice, right? I can't give you legal advice. All I'm going to say is if there is something involved in a transaction that can alter the legality of the transaction, that could be an issue. But I would, as you being a realtor, I would obviously recommend you reach out to your legal area for that, because I don't know that. From an underwriting standpoint, I mean, we can only go based off what we have, right? So not trying to tell you don't send it to me, right? I'm not ever trying to tell anybody to do that. I don't want anybody to ever be involved, but I mean, I can only go based on what you're telling me and sending me and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So
I thought it was interesting that they brought that point up, because I guess I had never thought about that before.
Well, and for me to say that nobody has ever tried to skirt, the guidelines,
right?
I would probably be wrong to say that nobody has ever tried to. I won't answer whether I have or not, because it doesn't matter. I always try to do things by the rules, and never would ever try to commit fraud. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Great question, though. Great questions. But I mean, those are things that could definitely hold up a deal too. If you send in a purchase agreement and get me all the addendums, and all of a sudden I have 1, 3, and 4, and I didn't catch it, right? But I mean, and the underwriter sees it. Now the underwriter is going to send it back. And with underwriting being as behind as they are, and somebody might go, well, we're not all behind. I mean, come on. I mean, there's a lot of places that are behind because they never expected this amount of business this year. Okay, so underwriting is a little behind, but that's why we try to do everything we can up front, so that when it goes to underwriting during the normal process, we don't have the back and forth, right? It's not fun. So, Joe, did you have a question?
No questions, man.
No
Sorry,
questions?
I was late.
Hey, man, don't worry about it. It's good. It's good. All right. So on the 29th of October, I'm going to have another special guest, Blaine Fayen, who is an appraiser. He's one of the best that I've known. He's very knowledgeable. I'm going to have him on to answer some questions about some in the appraisal business. Okay. Turn times, what do they see as some of the things that can help you out? Also, this is, Joe, I think this idea came from you. I think this class idea came from you. So I appreciate that. If there's anything that you guys, anybody wants to hear more about, or some, things that are frustrating you, or anything that I can help you out with, I want to be a resource. So please, shoot me a private message, shoot me a text, email, whatever, and I'll definitely get it on the calendar. And put a class up for that. So I definitely appreciate your time. And, if you're watching this at home and couldn't attend, no problem. I'll get this posted to our group. Please do me a favor. If everybody could invite one or two realtors to the group, that we can help educate everybody a little more and help grow the group, I'd appreciate that. I definitely want to try to be a great resource for everybody. So. All right.
What time was that meeting on October 29th?
It'll be 1 o'clock. I'm gonna try to keep the times right at 1 o'clock every time.
Awesome.
So seems to be a good time for everybody, unless somebody could tell me otherwise. But nobody said anything, so.
Thanks. Cool.
All right, guys.
I appreciated it. It was good. Thanks.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, Joe. Have a great day. Amy, you as well, and everybody at home. Have a great Taco Tuesday. All right. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.